Is it getting too complicated to sell on eBay? I think that question needs to be addressed because it's important. Many people, especially baby boomers and new sellers, are finding it very difficult and it's complicated. eBay has made it very complicated. Since I first started selling on eBay back in February of 1998, that's 27 years, eBay has evolved into a global phenomenon. There's over, I forgot exactly what it was, it's millions and millions of people worldwide that are either buying or selling on eBay. Uh, I haven't sold anything over the last maybe 6 to 8 months. I just haven't had the need to. I have a good rating. My rating right now is 2036. That's positive reviews. And I'm sure, I've sold probably 4 or 5 times that amount since I started selling or buying on eBay. It's just that not everybody leaves reviews for you. And during the course of those 27 years, I have not had one single negative review. And I pride myself on that. All right, let's get back to the topic on hand. Hi, I'm John, and welcome back to In John's Universe. If you're new to the channel, I appreciate you checking us out. And if you feel like subscribing, please do. I'd appreciate it. All right, so let me go forward. What's still simple on eBay? Listing basics are simple. They're easy to do. eBay's interface lets you list items using the app or website within minutes. You can sell anything on eBay, from collectibles to clothes to electronics. There's a market for just about anything. Now, the shipping tools have become very easy to use, and there's built-in shipping tools on eBay's website that you could print shipping labels from it, and you could use their rate calculator to simplify the process. So that's what's still simple to use. Now, what's becoming more complicated? The fee structure. At the end of this video, I'm going to cover some of the basics of the fee structure. The fee structure is very complicated, and it's getting more so. They revamped the fee schedule back in February of 2025, so earlier this year. Now, there are insertion fees, there's final value fees, and there's category-specific fees. Also, eBay takes a percentage of shipping and sales tax, not just the item price. Multiple pricing tiers and subscription plans can confuse new sellers. I know it did for me. I just looked at it briefly and I said, oh God, this is, beyond my comprehension today. Or maybe I just didn't have the ability to want to even deal with it today. This is another part of it being complicated. Return policies and buyer expectations. eBay strongly encourages free returns, which may not work for all sellers. Buyers now expect Amazon-like experiences, fast shipping, no hassle returns. Well, I don't know if you've been dealing with Amazon long, but it's no longer fast shipping. You might order something on a Sunday, and even if you have Amazon Prime, you might get it on Wednesday. And the Amazon drivers are just not very reliable. It could show up in the morning. It could show up in the afternoon. Sometimes they just leave it on your doorstep and they just walk, they don't even notify you by a knock on the door that it's there. So they've gotten a little bit remiss, and Amazon Prime and Amazon shipping is just not, in my opinion, it's just not like it used to be. Managing eBay's payments. eBay no longer accepts PayPal directly. Funds are deposited into your bank account. You have to set up an account or bank account in order to receive the money once eBay gets their money from the buyer and so forth and so on. It could take anywhere between a couple of days up to a week before you get your money into the bank account. And they've changed that over the years. They've made it a little bit more confusing. I'll give you, for instance, I helped my grandson start an eBay account a couple of months ago because he was in school and he needed some extra money. So I said to my son, I said, look, let me help him get started on eBay. So I sent him a couple of things to sell, and he sold, quite a few things in a short period of time, but it took him a week to get his money. It wasn't instantaneous anymore. And ultimately, he found a job while he was going to school, so he's no longer doing eBay. Uh, but that's his choice. Now, policy changes and algorithms. eBay's rules are constantly changing. That I know for a fact. Every time I get on eBay, there's something new. Uh, I'll give you, for instance, you can no longer, as a buyer, use American Express to pay for your purchase. eBay doesn't accept American Express anymore. And this was instituted back last August of 2024. And the reason being is American Express will charge the the recipient of the money up to 4% in fees. From what eBay said, it's just unacceptable in this current climate. So they just stopped it completely. American Express wasn't happy about it. And I know a lot of retailers are refusing to accept American Express cards because American Express does charge an exorbitant fee. But that's getting off the subject a little bit. All right, now let's go back to policy changes and algorithms. eBay's rules are constantly changing, as I mentioned before, or constantly evolving. Sellers must follow item specifics, quality metrics, and shipping time frames to stay competitive in search results. There's a lot of increased competition on eBay. More professional sellers and businesses are on the platform now. It's not just casual sellers anymore. You often compete with people who offer volume discounts or automation tools. So a lot of people use eBay as their primary business. They might set up in their attic or their basement or their garage, and they don't have a lot of overhead by doing that, by selling out of their home. So, for instance, if they could buy something and just make $1 or $2 profit on that item without an exorbitant overhead, they're going to do it, and that's how they fund their business. And a lot of them are just mom and pop shops that do it. So eBay has become very competitive. Tips to keep it manageable. That's the most important thing. As a new seller and as a baby boomer, you want to keep things manageable. And I mentioned this in a couple of videos. You want to start small, list a few items, get used to the process, and scale from there. You can always scale up from that point. I wouldn't go out and buy a whole bunch of inventory. Look around your house. I mentioned that in my last video. There's a lot of things, I'm sure, that you can find in your house that was maybe gifted to you that you didn't like, that you want to get rid of, or something that you've had for a number of years and is collecting dust. Clean it up, take a good picture of it, put a good description on it, check out the competitive pricing for it, and stick it on eBay. That's the way to go. Use templates. There's templates on eBay to make your listings easier to do. Follow eBay sellers' updates. They publish changes regularly. Knowing what's coming up helps. Lean into niche items, vintage, collectible, or unique items often do well without competing on speed or free returns. Automate when you can. Use automatic pricing, shipping calculators, and scheduled listings. This is for boomers or new sellers. Selling on eBay can feel overwhelming, but if you focus on the basics and learn gradually, it's still one of the easiest platforms to turn clutter into cash. I've sold at flea markets, I've sold yard sales and so forth and so on. And you'll make more money on eBay because there's a bigger audience that you can reach. And you don't really have to, like at a yard sale, for instance, you might have $2 on something and somebody will come along and say, I'll give you 50 cents for it. And then you haggle back and forth and you settle for, I don't know, $1. On eBay, it's not like that. I mean, there's other ways that people can not haggle you with price, but if you accept a lower offer, there's ways for you to do that. But I'm not going to get into the issue and confuse it right now. It's just too complicated. Now, speaking about complicated, what is the current eBay structure? Now, this structure was redone and came out in mid 2025. So it's not too long ago. Insertion fees. They used to charge per insertion fee, but they don't do that anymore. At one time, you can get 50 free. Now they give you up to 250 monthly listings free across either the auction format or the fixed price format. There's two different formats, and I covered that in the previous video. Now, additional listings over that 250 monthly listings are 35 cents each. And beyond that, that limit, there's some exceptions, and it depends what service you choose. You can choose different selling platforms on eBay as far as professional level or gold level or whatever the hell they call it nowadays. Uh, Final value fees when your item sells. And I'm going to just read this. I'm not going to go over all of them because it's very confusing. And I would suggest getting on eBay or actually doing it a search on Chat GPT and say, what is the current eBay pricing or fee structure? And that'll list everything that I'm going to be talking about. All right, most categories, 13.6% on the first $7,500 plus 2.35% on any amount above that. So any amount above $7,500, it's 2.35. Now that's for most categories. They have a separate category for books, music, and movies, and that's 15.3% up to 75, and then it's still 2.35% beyond. Coins and paper money, non-bullion, 13.25% up to 7,500, plus anything over that is 2.35%. And I'm just going to pick out some of these. Women's bags and handbags, 15%, up to 2,000. Over 2,000, it's 9%. Watches, parts, or accessories, 15% up to 1,000, 6.5% up to 7,500, and above that is 3%. Guitars and basses, and then they got athletic shoes and different categories. eBay has gotten very sophisticated, and they're looking at their algorithm and saying, hey, good, we can make some extra money by putting this percentage on this particular category that's selling. And that's what they're doing. They're capitalizing on it. What I do when I sold, I said, all right, I'm basically ballparking it. I'd say 14%. Okay. That's why I look at it. So if you're selling a $100 item or it's sold for a $100 item, you're going to get charged 14%. Now that $100 would include the shipping and the tax and so forth and so on. So I'm just using it as an example. So basically you're getting $86 on that, which isn't too bad, but that's just the fees. You still have to, if you don't charge the buyer shipping and you offer free shipping, you're still obligated to pay the shipping on it. So if the shipping is $8 on that particular item, that $8 from $86, that leaves you $78. So that's where you really need to look at your expenses and see if you're going to make money on it. That's the most important thing. You want to make money. All right, the next subject is per order fees. It's 30% of any order up to $10. And then it's 40 cents for any order over $10. That's over and above your fees that you're being charged for the listing. And there's other fees that I'm not going to get into. It's kind of confusing, so I urge you to either get on eBay and check it out, or like I said before, get on Chat GPT, and that explains it a little bit more. Now, there are optional listing upgrades, and I don't use these because I think it's unnecessary. Maybe some new people would do it, but that's just giving eBay more money that's unnecessary. You could pay extras like subtitles, bold titles, a gallery picture, a reserve, and have fixed fees, regardless of the sale outcomes. All right, I'll give you, for instance, bold titles are $2 for auction or $4 for fixed sales. Subtitles, $1.50 to $3 depending on the price and the format. Gallery fees, typically 35 cents per auction or $1 fixed, waived in some categories. Reserve pricing, $5 or 7.5% of reserve, which is whatever, whichever is higher, which the maximum of $250. And is a fee for international selling for U.S. based sellers. So if you open up an eBay store, which they have, there's benefits like extra zero insertion fees, reduced insertion and final value fees, tools for high volume fees like promoted listings or automatic listings or automatic pricing. However, store subscriptions cost money. All right, the next topic I'm talking about is fee adjustments. As of February 14, 2025, final value fees in most categories increased slightly. The exceptions were sneakers, handbags, shoes, coins, NFTs, jewelry, and trading cards, which remain unchanged. Now, promoted listings, advertising, cost per model sale. The fee has only occurred when the item sells through the ad, paid in addition to final value and listing fees. Seller performance and penalty fees. Underperformance, below standard. They'll charge you 6% on final value fees for the next month. So shame on you if you underperform or you screw up and you put listings on and they sell, you're going to be paying 6% more on final value fees for the next month. High item not described rate, 5% on fixed value fees in affected categories. So again, it gets very, very complicated. I'm just not going to get into it, all the fees, because it's too complicated to explain. Let me summarize this. All right, this is the final part. Selling on eBay is free, with quotation marks around free, until you list 250 items per month. When the items sell, you'll face final value fees, mostly 13.6%, plus per order and optional fees if used. International sales and poor performance may add extra costs. Sellers using stores or ads can reduce or boost fees based on volume and strategy. Well, I hope I confused you enough that you'll want to get online and check it yourself, because I just can't explain it. It's very complicated. And I'm going to be looking over my notes the next time I list something on eBay, which is going to be very shortly, to put some things on that I need to get rid of and bolster my coffers a little bit, because I can use the extra money to do other things with. So again, thank you for subscribing to the channel if you've already subscribed. If you haven't subscribed, I'd appreciate it if you would do so. Please like this video. That helps with our YouTube algorithm. And you'll see the little bell down below. And if you click on that bell, you'll get notified of any new videos that I put up. Also, if you have any comments, please leave comments. Anything that you'd like me to talk about, anything that you see, you say, John, you don't know what the hell you're talking about. You can leave that comment there and I'll answer back. If I don't know the answer, I'll find out. However, if it's a, very detrimental comment, I'll read it, I'll laugh, I may respond, and then I'll just block you from the channel, because I don't need that kind of negativity on my channel, or those kind of people that are trolls. That's not me. And I'm not going to, I'm not going to subscribe to that. I'm not going to do that. So again, thank you for listening to me today. I hope I was a little bit helpful to you, and I appreciate it. Again, you have a good day, and I'll talk to you soon. All right. Good night.